Hi, everyone. This is Vallabh Janardhan. I'm honored to be part of this conference. I'd like to thank the organizers for inviting me. Today's talk is on engaging physicians in medical device innovation and entrepreneurship. My talk will focus on three aspects of the innovation life cycle. One is in the idea stage or napkin stage, how can physicians play a role? The second is in the preclinical stage or the bench testing stage, the role of physicians. And lastly, in the clinical stage or at the patient's bedside, what are the various opportunities for physicians to be engaged? If we look at the first stage or the idea stage, how can physicians play a role in medical device innovation process? There are 5 categories of activities that I'd like to go over. Firstly, it's very important that physicians look at their existing employment contracts, and if they are due for renewal of their contracts, to be able to make sure that their contracts allow them to be able to be involved in medical device innovation. In short, a physician should be able to own whatever they think, provided they don't use material resources of their employer in a significant way. And so it's important to be able to address all of this in an employment contract upfront. Obviously, if a physician does such innovation in their free time, not using any of the material resources of their employer, then the physician should be able to file for patents and own their idea. If, on the other hand, physicians use material resources of their employer, for example, utilizing the lab resources or other human resources or other resources in the office or in the hospital, then physicians can negotiate these contracts with their employers to be able to have adequate sharing of the innovation based on the resources that are used. So it's very important that this is set right up front prior to the innovation journey. Now that we've taken care of the contracts, what do you do when you have an idea? So intellectual property is of different types. One of the main types is patents. And patents can be design patents or utility patents. Utility patents can be of 3 types: method of use of the device, method of manufacture of the device, and the actual device or apparatus patents. Other forms of intellectual property include trademarks, copyrights, and then some trade secrets. So it's essential to understand the different forms of intellectual property and to use the appropriate forms of intellectual property protection for a particular idea. Physicians can also play a role in understanding the unmet need for a particular disease or treatment type. Some examples could be if a new product is being launched, for example, an aspiration catheter, it would be important to know what size of aspiration catheters, outer diameters and inner diameters, that physicians are comfortable using in a particular vessel diameter or location. Obviously, larger and larger catheters have safety issues on the endothelium of vessels. And it's also important to factor in the efficacy. So whether a medium or large bore catheter is preferred or a super bore catheter is preferred for a particular vessel diameter is something that physician end user surveys can be very helpful in understanding the current comfort level of the end users. Physicians can also play a role in understanding the patient population. For example, if we take pulmonary embolism, you've got various subcategories of PE, such as chronic pulmonary emboli, submassive pulmonary emboli, massive pulmonary emboli. So it would be good to understand what are the different subcategories in which a new treatment or a new device can be useful for patients. What is the current treatment rate in each of these categories or subcategories? And what is the percentage of patients that would benefit from a new treatment in these categories? Another example could be in ischemic stroke. Is the device being used for proximal large vessel occlusions or medium or distal large vessel occlusions or medium vessel occlusions? So this would help understand the usefulness of a particular device or product for all categories of that disease or subcategories of the disease. And physicians can play a key role over here. Physicians can also assist with funding opportunities by working with companies to file STTR, technology transfer research grants when physicians are working in academia and partner with companies. And if they have their own startup or are involved in a way with a company that is developing a new medical device, they can partner with the company to file for an SBIR or a Small Business Innovation Research Award, for example, with the National Institute of Health. So these are some ways in which physicians can be engaged in the idea stage. Now, if we look at the next stage or the preclinical stage of the company, what are the areas in which physicians can play a role? So in the design and development of medical devices, certain verification and validation tests need to be performed. An example of a verification test would be dimensional analysis and compatibility tests. For example, if you have an aspiration catheter, what are the dimensions of it? What is the outer diameter? What is the inner diameter? What is the length? And what is its compatibility with other access devices, such as guide catheters? So this would be an example of a verification test. Another example of a verification test would be usability testing, where physicians can compare a particular device and its ease of use compared to a benchmark or a predicate device. This is helpful for regulatory filings. Physicians can also be involved in validation tests as part of the design and development of a medical device. Examples of validation tests are simulation tests for efficacy in a flow model, or safety tests in an animal model. Several regulatory agencies also require what are called clinical evaluation reports annually. This, in a sense, is like a systematic review or a meta-analysis that is updated for that particular product or treatment procedure. Physicians are very competent in doing systematic reviews and meta-analysis, either as part of a publication or using software. And this is something that can be very useful for a medical device company. Physicians can also be involved in in-service training of other physicians before a product is launched by sharing the base knowledge that's needed for the technique or the dimensions or the appropriate indications in which the device can be used. Physicians can also present a lot of these preclinical results at national and international conferences to share with peers the products that are coming down the pike or are in the pipeline that are exciting. Physicians obviously can be involved in the clinical stage of a company. One such example of where physicians can play a role is in designing a study or a registry, in helping draft the protocol, and in the actual operations of a study, such as a post-marketing registry or an investigational device exemption trial that's approved by the FDA. Physicians can be involved in enrolling patients into registries or trials. And experienced physicians can also proctor other physicians who are starting to use this device or want to use this device that is newly launched, either as a live proctor or using remote proctoring capabilities. Physicians can be involved in the first in human use of a medical device, either as part of a study leading up to regulatory approval or after approval. Physicians can be involved in independent core labs, either on the imaging side or on the operative report or technical side, and they're called imaging or technical core labs. And lastly, physicians can be involved in publications and publishing the data of such preclinical and clinical studies so that peers and other physician colleagues are aware of the findings. In summary, physicians can play a vital role in medical device innovation and entrepreneurship from the idea stage all the way to the clinical commercialization stage. A special thanks to all of the early pioneers, physicians and researchers who are involved in medical device innovation of cyclical aspiration. This is just an example to show that medical device innovation is a team sport and requires multiple physicians, researchers to come together to advance the technology. I'd like to thank you for giving me this opportunity, and I'm happy to take any questions after this session, or please don't hesitate to reach out to me directly if I can answer any of your questions. Thank you.